Hi, my name's Addie and this is the Knits by AJ Knitting Podcast. Hello everybody, welcome back if you are a returning viewer, welcome if you are new. My name is Addie, I am a knitter, sometimes crocheter, very rarely a sewist, and I am based in the southeast of the UK. And this is a podcast or a vlog or a chatty video all about knitting. I have got 3 finished objects today. 4 whips, 1 acquisition and a swatch for a new cast on, which I thought might be interesting to talk about. So let's get into this. I feel very underprepared today, once again. I feel like it's been a really long time since I filmed, but it's actually only been about 2 weeks. So we shall see how this goes. I'm in a slightly new setup today. I thought it might be nice to change it up a little bit. It was very, I mean, this entire room is quite grey, to be honest, all the walls are grey. But yeah, just thought it might be nice to change it up a little bit. Also, this setting is in the middle of 2 windows, so hopefully it should get a little bit better lighting than over there where I was before, because the weather has changed and so have the clocks. The clocks have gone back an hour. Funnily enough, this year the clocks went back on my birthday, so I had 25 hours of my 30th birthday, which was a little bit odd, but yeah. So we should get into the first finished object. Maybe we'll start with what I'm wearing actually, because that is not a finished object. I finished this quite a while ago. I finished it back in the summer, just after I had been on holiday with my husband and my daughter, and it is my Friday tee by Petite Knit, and I knit this up in Knitting for Olive Merino in, I think this is Dusty Rose and this is Rust, I believe. Could be wrong. I'll correct myself if I am in fact wrong. And I knit the smallest size in this and I went up a needle size. And yeah, it's just quite a nice layer to have on. The heating has just kicked in my house, so I was wearing a jumper but have changed into this because I'm realising that now that I am probably going to get quite warm. But it warms up the house, doesn't it? And I'm sure I'll feel the benefit of it later. Anyway, so yeah, that is what I am wearing today, and leads quite nicely into my first finished object, which is also a Petite Knit pattern, and it is the Mowry purse. So here we are. And I used all scraps to do this. So scrap zip that I had lying around, a scrap bit of fabric that I had lying around, and also some scrap yarns. So I think that the orange is left over from my Toft Trick or Treat kit that I showed last time. That I used for the top of my mushroom that I got in that kit. And then the white is, I believe, some West Yorkshire Spinners Wensleydale DK that I had lying around. And then the zip I got to put in one of my husband's hoodies that it didn't turn out right because I bought the wrong type of zip. I bought a closed end zip instead of a open-ended zip. So either way. And then the fabric is left over from a dress that I sewed for my daughter in the summer. So yeah, it's been a really nice little scrap project, and I'm really looking forward to being able to use this to kind of like keep, I'm not sure if I want to use this one to like have my cards and things in, or if I want to keep this one for like knitting supplies. So I will make that decision. This was a really fun little knit to kind of like cleanse the palette. I think that's what people say. I think I managed to do it in one evening, or at least the pouch in one evening, and then I just did the bind off and the tabs the following morning. And then last night it took me about an hour to sew in the zip and the lining. And that I believe that you can buy the zip and lining separately and then like as ready-made components. But as I had some extra fabric and I had my sewing machine out anyway, I thought, oh well, maybe I'll just make my own instead of having to buy more, because you know you always end up with this like random little bit of fabric lying around. So I thought, oh, I'll just use that. So, but yeah, if you're not a sewist or you don't have any fabric lying around, you can buy the lining, I believe. So yeah, it took me about an hour to sew that in. I did initially try and do it on my sewing machine, and that just didn't work out, so I just did it by hand. And actually it was much quicker and much easier to do it by hand, and it's such a small thing that it just didn't take me very long. I did sew like the side seams. If I flip this back around the other way, I did sew like my side seams together on my machine. That's going to focus on my face, isn't it? Oh no, there we go. Good. Right. So yeah, I sewed my side seams together using my machine, and then I sewed the lining into the knitted pouch by hand. And yeah, I think this is going to be really, really useful. I went up a needle size. I always go up a needle size when it comes to petite knit patterns. I didn't swatch for this because my plan is to use this as a swatch, essentially, to make 3 more for my daughter's teachers for Christmas. I did initially think that there was going to be like a round robin message to say, oh, we're gonna do like all join in together, and that hasn't happened yet, and I've already done my Christmas shopping, so I thought, oh, I'll just make them one of these instead, and she can give them to them for Christmas. So I'm planning to make so this is the smallest size. This pattern comes in 3 sizes, and this is like the coin purse type thing. It's 15 centimeters across and 10 centimeters up, and I think I'm gonna knit them either the medium or the large size, so then they can use it to like keep things in their handbags if they want to, or like use it as a pencil case if they want to, that kind of thing. And it just gives them a little bit more of an option. And I'm just going to try and use all of my scraps to do this, because I'm trying to use up my scrap basket. So yeah, this is meant to be knit on 3mm needles and 2.5 for the tabs, and I used 3.25 and 2.75mm needles, and yeah, I think it's a really lovely little pouch. So it's like a garter slip stitch pattern, and then the tabs are done in double knit, and this is just so satisfying. So yes, that is my first finished object, the Mowry pouch by Petite Knit. That went really high pitched. Okay, so yeah, Mowry pouch by Petite Knit, first finished object. And it's going to be a bit of a theme today. Even in what I'm wearing today is all warm tone orange. That's kind of just where I'm at in my colour sphere at the moment. But we're going to be moving into some more colours eventually. Right, so finished object number 2. Have some tea first. My second finished object is a pair of socks, and these are my Halloween socks. So I'm not really going to go into too much detail of these because I have shown them twice, I believe, before. So yeah, I have showed these twice before, and these are my Peachy Pumkin socks by Stone Knits, and I have finished both of them. Yeah, there are 2. Voila. And I knit these in Filcolana Arvetta for my main colour in the colour charcoal, and then my pumpkins are West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in the colour nutmeg, and then the little green bit is the mini from a sock set that I got from the Lonely Knitter, which is no longer available. So but you can use any green really. Like, I think actually this green is probably a little bit too light, but you could even probably use brown if you wanted to, but then that would probably clash too much with the, or like be too similar to the orange. But anyway, this pattern comes with 2 different Colourwork motifs. So it comes with peaches, and it also comes with pumpkins. So it's not just a pattern that you can use at Halloween. You can use it for like a summery pair of peachy Colourwork socks. And the pattern does something stuck in a bit of my doormat. Lovely. I have worn these, so apologies that they are not looking like super crisp, because I wore these quite a lot, and they've already been washed twice, so you know, they're well loved. So I think that we can definitely say that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the actual pattern does have the colourwork going all the way down, but like I've said before, I don't like the feeling of colourwork underneath my feet, so I decided to just do it on the leg, which works out quite well for me because I wore them like over the top of tights with my Doc Martens, and like they pop over the top, and to be honest, nobody really sees the foot anyway, so that's worked out quite well. I did not go up a needle size for my colourwork. I used 2.25 needles, 2.25mm needles the entire way through, including my ribbing, and these have a short row heel. And this was my first time doing a short row heel, and I really enjoyed it. And these are probably one of my best fitting pairs of socks. So I think that I'm going to be using this heel much more often. Yeah. I feel like I'm racing through these today. I'm probably going to miss something. But yes, these are my... I always forget what to call these because I think the pattern is called the Just Peachy Pumpkin socks, but the hashtag on Instagram is the Just Peachy socks. So either way, these are my Peachy Pumpkin socks by Stone Knits. And I think I will definitely be going in and using some more of her patterns in the future. I was chatting to Tia of Tea and Stitches on Instagram, and yeah, we were talking about the Charming Colourwork Socks book by Stone Knits. So I think I'm gonna, now that I've knit these and I really enjoyed them, I think I'm gonna add that to my Christmas list, because you know, all of my Christmas list is just full of knitting related things. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. What else did I change? Oh, I decided to, as I wasn't doing the colourwork all the way down the foot, instead of using my main colour for my heel and toe, I decided to use contrast colours, and yeah, I think it's worked out really well. These knit up really quickly when I was actually working on them. I think if I had been solely working on them, I might have managed to have gotten both socks done in less than a week. So yeah, really happy with these. And right, finished object number 3. Racing through these, probably have missed loads. Right, finished object number 3 is another pair of socks, and I showed you these last time, and I had one finished, and I don't think had I gotten to past the heel? I can't remember. I might have gotten just past the heel of the second sock, but now they are finished, and it is these Mohair socks. I mean, that's just what I've been calling them. They are obviously not just Mohair, although that might work. I don't know. Be very fluffy. Very fluffy. But yeah, these were, I cast these on in like February and knit one sock, and then literally cast on the stitches, didn't even join in the round for the second one, and then just left them because I think the weather must have changed, it got too hot and I just didn't want to work on them anymore. I'm not the biggest fan of Mohair. Like, it's lovely and I like the halo is beautiful, but I don't know, I just like it softens everything up wonderfully, but I'm not drawn to it. Like I'm not drawn to knitting with it, and quite a lot of the time I prefer more of like a smooth finish, and sometimes I do find it a little bit prickly. I know a lot of people substitute it for Sari alpaca, and that's might be something that I look into in the future, but I don't know, sometimes most of the time I would prefer to just have like a single yarn non-fluff jumper than have like a really fluffy mohair jumper. But that's just personal preference. I know lots of people absolutely love it, and like all they knit with is a strand of wool and a strand of mohair, but it's not for me. And yeah, I would rather knit with a DK yarn than knit with a fingering weight and a mohair. But that's just my personal preference. And that was a tangent that I have wandered off on. But yes, anyway, these are now finished and are so soft and warm. So they were just a simple like vanilla sock. I just cast on 60 stitches, did some 2x2 rib, which you can't see because my hand's in the way. Yeah, just did some like an inch of 2x2 rib, like 2.5 inches of leg, and then a heel flap and gusset, like standard slip stitch. And then I got through the decreases, and then I knit about 1 centimetre, and then I changed colour of my mohair, not my initial strand. And for some reason, like this colour change here, this like stripe where it gets to the toe, is not where I've actually changed any yarns. It's just the colour change in the like main strand, which is Debbie Bliss Rialto Luxury Sock, which I think has been discontinued. I got it like 2, maybe 3 years ago, and never really kind of used it, and so just thought, oh, I'll just use it with some mohair to make a really nice like warm pair of socks. And so I did, but it was, yeah, it's a bit of an odd sort of stripe. Like the same thing has happened up here. So this is obviously where I've left these stitches on hold and then gone to do the heel and then come back, and it's been in a completely different colour, so there's a bit of a stripe. But yeah, this one is not where I've like gone off and knit something else, it's just where the yarn has suddenly decided to change colour. But you know, it's a pair of socks, I really don't mind. Like most of the time they're either in my slippers or in my shoes, so it's not really a problem. And I have been really enjoying on like the cold mornings, which we haven't had that many of yet, but wearing these inside my boots to keep my feet warm, because I do have quite bad circulation, so my feet and my hands get very, very cold, and these have definitely been helping with that. So yeah, I finally finished those and now can wear them. And yeah, I used some leftover drops mohair to knit these. So the top, so until the colour changes like here, this is all like a brown mohair. I believe it was their colour almond, could be wrong. And then down here is like a grey mohair. And I have a bit of this grey left, so I think I might try and get a pair of fingerless mitts with some leftover grey wool that I've got left over. Might get a pair of those out because my hands are starting to get a little bit nippy as well. So yeah, that's finished object number 3. I used a 2.5mm needle to knit these, and I used my shorties, which may have also been why I put them down, because I don't find them the most comfortable on my hands. So yeah, that's these. I feel like I missed out loads there. I'm going to keep saying this after every single time, but I'm sorry if I'm missing things. If you have any questions about anything that I have knit, you can pop a comment down below or message me on Instagram. I don't know if there is a message function on YouTube. Might have to look at that. But yeah, always feel free to ask or suggest things if you want to, or yeah, I just want to open up the comments as like a place where we can all chat about some knitting and everything. I'm really sorry if there's a squeaking sometimes when I move. These dungarees were secondhand, and the catches here are very clicky and a little bit squeaky, so I might have to look into changing those. But yeah, right, so that is all of my finished objects, and now I guess we can move on to some whips, which is where all of the exciting things are happening at the moment. So without further waffle, let's get into those. Where should we go first? Let's do my test knit first, because that's probably where all the interest is. Right, so this is my first whip and it is almost finished, and this is my Stella Quilt cushion cover. Oh, I have to move all the way back here and like try and not clonk my head on this shelf. This is my Stella Quilt cushion cover by Penrose, and it is nearly done. So I have finished the front piece and I am working my way up. This is really hard to show you because like one bit doesn't want to stay up, but yeah, there we go. It's going to flap, isn't it? There we go. Hang on, if I hold it this way, does that work a bit better because it's attached? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I'm working my way up the back, and this is a pattern that I believe she is intending to release in November, and it's very similar to her Sweet Shop blanket, but the motif is slightly different. The construction is quite similar, but the motif is different. And it's this beautiful like quilted star, and this is motif number 1. There are two motifs, like 2 different stars, and I believe that she is currently knitting the second star option and has talked about it on her podcast, which I will also link down below. And yeah, I am really excited to have this finished and on some of the cushions that I have lying around my living room. So I'm knitting this in, it's completely gone out of my head. I'm knitting this in Woolly Knit Worth Mills DK, which is a 100% British wool. And I've used the 4-ply cones quite a lot from Woolly Knit, but I had never used their DK before, and I think I like this more than the cones. But I like all of their yarns, so it's not really saying much, to be honest. So my main colour is this beautiful like creamy white, and it's called Pure Aran. And my contrast colour is called Burnt Orange, and it is beautiful. There is so much depth in there, and I don't know, the combination of these 2 colours is just pure autumn, really, isn't it? It's like, they're just gorgeous. And yeah, so I did not take long to knit this. I think I started this maybe just over 2 weeks ago, and I will admit I have not been monogamously knitting this. I have had other whips on the go, and obviously I finished other things in the process as well. So yeah, it's taken me barely any time at all. But I will caveat that with, I am quite a fast knitter. I've been knitting for quite a long time, and I have had more knitting time than I usually would because I had family visiting, and it was half term, so there wasn't like tons of things going on. But yeah, so this is really, really clever because it's not as daunting as just sitting there and going, oh, I've just got to knit a giant square of garter, because like it's all knit in squares, and like you start at one corner and work your way up, and it changes direction for every square. And obviously there's a colour change in the middle for most squares. I believe that the other star, there is a colour change in every square, whereas this one there are like 4. Yeah, 4 just plain main colour squares. But even then, that's quite a nice break, because it's sort of like, oh, okay, I can just keep going and I don't have to do a colour change in the middle. So yeah, it's like one of those things that's really kept my interest the entire way through and like helped me keep my momentum. Because I think I've said before, I'm not a huge like garter stitch knitter. I get very, very bored with garter stitch very quickly. And I thought, because this has got so much else going on, so many interesting construction techniques, and like you've got short rows in there, you have got increases and decreases, you're picking up stitches all the time, that each like square is relatively small. It was going to keep my interest and stop me from getting bored of the garter. It's not to say that garter is a bad stitch. Like, I think it's really lovely to look at, and I think it definitely has its uses, and I think that like it is lovely in its own right, but I just get bored knitting it. So I mean, to be honest, I get bored knitting stockinette sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I just really want to get into something and like sort of stretch my brain a bit. But I mean, that's what cables and lace are for, really, isn't it? So yeah, so yeah, plodding away on this, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. I'm going to be knitting another one, but I won't be knitting it at quite the speed that I've knit this one up as, because it's probably going to be like mid-November into December when I start knitting that one, and I do have a few gift knits that I still need to knit, so it will be more slow progress on that one. So I'll keep you updated, but it's not going to be like as zoomy as this one has. This pattern comes with 2 options for the star motif, which I've already spoken about. It also comes up with 2 gauges, so I'm knitting the DK version, and there is also an Aran weight version. So if you want one with slightly less knitting, or if you've got loads of Aran weight lying around, then you can, I think it's worsted or Aran that you can use, but to be honest, it's like it's personal preference, and obviously what you've got lying around. I believe Laura has spoken about the fact that she has designed this really well to work with advents. So if you've got an advent coming in December, you could knit one of these, and I think each triangle uses less than just over 5 grams of yarn. And yeah, so the whole front piece used 1 ball of my main colour and half a ball of my contrast colour. My dog's moving around now. You right, buddy? So yeah, I used 1 ball of the main colour, apart from like half a square. I had to break into a second ball, so it's really, really economical on yarn for the front piece. And like, I believe if you wanted to, I think there's one tester who is adding fabric to the back, and I think that's what I'm going to do maybe for my next one, to kind of, I think I'm not going to have quite enough of my main colour of yarn, because when you buy this straight from Woolly Knit, it comes in packs of 5, and this is now my 3rd ball. So it depends on how much I get through of this ball in the last like 1/3 of the back, as to whether or not I decide to use this or a fabric back. So there's loads of different options, like you can mix and match however you please, and there are 2 different closure options in the pattern. So you can either use mattress stitch to sew up the top, and then like if you do need to take your cushion cover out, then you can just unpick your mattress stitch. And there is also the option for a envelope closure. So if you do want to be able to remove your cushion cover and like wash it or change up your cushion covers seasonally or whatever you want to do. So yes, there's those, but I have gone rogue and I'm going to be adding a zip to mine, because I've got loads of random zips like sitting in my sewing box, and I just thought, why not try and do something different? And so I'm going to be knitting for the envelope closure. No, I was knitting for the envelope closure, but since I've changed to a zip, so I will be knitting for the sewn closure, and then I'll be adding in a zip, and I will probably write some instructions and everything as to how I did that in my Ravelry page in case anybody else wants to. So yeah, the back piece is really nice to knit as well, because it's quite sort of simple compared to the front, because it's essentially just the front but just bigger. So yeah, I'm on the home stretch and all of my rows are getting shorter and shorter. And so yeah, should hopefully have that done soon. So that was my Stella Quilt cushion. Pattern coming soon. Okay, so whip number 2 is one that you have also probably seen more than anything and has not seen a huge amount of knitting progress, but I am starting to kind of make a little bit more headway with this. My needle has fallen out. Right, that's annoying. This is why I need to put stoppers on everything, but I don't, because I'm like, oh yeah, it'll be fine, it's just sitting in a bag. And then I come to film these and I'm suddenly really, really shocked when all of my stitches fall off the needle. Right, so whip number 2 is my husband's hoodie, which I have been making a little bit of progress on since I finished my socks. This is now kind of like my meditative knitting, because like I said last week, I have knit this like 7 times, so I kind of know where I'm going with it. So we are now at the point where I've got one sleeve done. There we go. That's an easy way to do things, isn't it? Right, so I've got one sleeve done. I'll pop this all the way back there. There we go. And I'm just working my way down the body. This is obviously where my stitches have decided to fly off of my cable, but you know. And so I have made a good amount of progress. I think before I was like 8 centimeters down, and I did have a marker in here. Oh, it's on the other side. So that marker there is where I am now, like over halfway through the body. So we are making good progress. And then I've got one more sleeve to do, and I've got the hood to do. So, oh, and the button band obviously, but I haven't bought buttons yet either. So there's that to do as well. So yeah, just making some really good progress on this. I'm hoping to have it done really soon. It's as soon as I finish my test knit, this is now going to be sort of like bumped up the list as my main whip. And yeah, just getting there. So this is a self-drafted pattern. I have written the pattern, but only really for my own use. And I am using Drops Extra Fine Merino in the colour Dark Grey Mix and a 4mm needle. And yeah, I mean, you guys have seen this quite a few times. And yeah, I think you're probably sick of hearing about it. But yeah, that's where I am with that. I'm hoping to at least have the body done next time we speak. Oh, these stitches are just flying off. I'm going to put this down before all of the stitches fall off the needle. But yeah, making some good progress on that. Just do a quick sort of like, it is still here, show and tell, and pop it back down there. So yeah, I'm gonna hopefully have that done really, really soon. I know that he's desperately wanting to wear it, and like the weather has now changed, so he's after his knitwear again. He tends to wear his hoodies to the office because they have got air conditioning in there and heating, so it's always quite warm. It's not really the right kind of temperature for like a big jumper, but he has been wearing his Mowry sweater that I knit for him earlier this year a lot around the house, and I think he's going to be getting the rest of his jumpers out soon. So yeah, looking forward to getting that finished for him. Where should we go next for whip number 3? I tell you what, let's do my stripes next, because that's quite, we'll break, because the other whip that I have got is also for my husband, and so we'll break those up by putting something for me in there. So this has been more of a long-standing whip than I initially intended it to. So this is my striped sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I am knitting this in the Ice and Fire collection minis from the Lonely Knitter. So, which are all 20-gram minis in fingering weight on a 25 75 base, sock base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. So a pretty standard sock yarn, but it is really, really soft. So I initially intended to knit a stripe a day and like have it done by the middle of October, and then that wasn't working out because the stripes were taking too long for me to get them done and get other things knit as well. Obviously I picked up a test knit, which then kind of took a lot of my attention, and then I thought, oh yeah, I'll get it all done by my birthday, which was Sunday, which is now been and gone, and it's still not finished. But I have, well, so now this has now become something that, like, I'll finish it when it's finished. It doesn't need to be rushed, and I don't need to put a deadline on it because it's for me and it's not like it's a gift knit or anything else. So this is now, it's not fallen to the bottom of my list. It's definitely there, but it's like, oh, work on it when you want to, not because you have to. So I have, since last podcast, finished all the stripes on the body and bound off, and done the ribbing and bound off. So that is now off the needles, which means that this is slightly less chaotic now because I've only got, like, at the most 3 balls of yarn attached instead of 4. Well, it was still 3 balls of yarn, but I have a full 100 gram skein of the like main colour, which is called Hold the Door, that I'm using, and so I had like the inside and the outside attached, and then a small mini, apologies, had a message from my daughter's school. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, and then I also had a mini attached, and also the mini of the like contrast colour that I was using. So it was a lot of strands attached, and then obviously when you're twisting it, everything was getting very, very like tangled, and it was all becoming just a little bit more chaotic than I really wanted it to be. But that has now, that point has now passed, and we're into the point where I've just got the sleeves to do. So yeah, this is quite cropped. It's probably more cropped than I initially intended it to be. I have spoken before about the fact that I have quite a long torso, and so cropped things on me are very, very cropped, and sometimes full length jumpers are still a bit cropped, so I have to add in more length. But this is quite cropped, but because it is superwash merino, I am expecting it to relax quite a lot, and my plan is to wear it with skirts and with like underneath my dungarees, and also with like my high-waisted jeans. So it's not a problem that it's cropped, but I had initially intended to knit the full length version and got my numbers wrong on how many rounds I needed to do per stripe, and yeah, it's just ended up as the cropped version, but that's not a problem. I don't mind. I'm more than happy with it still. If it had really bothered me, I would have gone back and ripped it out and like started again, but it hasn't. So yeah, I have done all of the colours once in the body, and then the sleeves are currently hitting me like here, just above my elbow. And so I'm going to try and get the sleeves to full length, and what I'm going to do is take all of these colours, so from here up to the first colour, and knit those into the sleeves like in reverse order. So we should both start and finish on this one. And then I have also lengthened the ribbing. So I've got like 2 inches of ribbing on the bottom, and the pattern suggests to have 1, I believe, and match the top collar ribbing. But I've decided to add in a little bit more, mainly for length, and also because I quite like a long ribbing on the bottom of my garments. I like a long ribbing on the top as well, so I may go back and change my collar selection, because I think there's 4 different collars. There's a double folded that you like cast on, knit, and then knit down, and then carry on with the body. There's a single folded, not at all folded, collar where you just cast on, knit, and then go into your stripes. And then there's also one where you cast on, knit your stripes, and then pick up for the collar later. And that's what I've chosen to do. And then I have double folded it, and I believe that you can just leave it upright if you want to. So yeah, that is what I have chosen to do for my collar, and I may unpick where I knitted it down and then just do a tubular bind off and then have it as just like a standard collar instead of a double folded. But I'm sort of as of yet have not decided what I'm going to do with that. But yeah, so each of these stripes is 6 rounds long, and then I've got 2 rounds of the main colour in the middle to kind of break them up a little bit. And I am just really enjoying the colours of this, to be honest. I'm really enjoying the fact that each stripe is only like, what, 8 rounds, including the 2 rounds of the standard? No, the main colour. And yeah, it's just really squishy and soft and light and drapey. And I'm really looking forward to wearing it, but I'm not putting any pressure on myself to finish it. So yeah, I have gone up a needle size. I find that I often have to go up a needle size because I think a lot of the designers that I've knit from, like Petite knit, Andrea, Mowry, they all knit continental and I knit English, and I think notoriously that makes me a little bit of a tighter knitter than anyone who knits continental. I mean, obviously people who knit continental can also be very tight knitters as well, but I have often found that if a designer knits continental, then I have to go up a needle size. Especially for row gauge. I find that my row gauge is a lot tighter, and also have to do like that trick where you put a slightly larger needle on for the needle that you're going to purl with, and then the smaller needle for the one that you're going to knit with. So you're essentially using two different sized needles for anything that's knit flat, because my pearls are really tight. And I'm not sure if I've ever shown it on here, or maybe I've shown a picture of it but you can't really see it, but my Lakes pullover by Ozetta is ever so slightly sort of ripply at the top where I've knitted it flat. Like there's a little bit of rowing out, and it's because my pearls are so much tighter than my knits. And so I have now, I mean, it doesn't bother me on that jumper because you can barely see it. I think I see it because I knit it and I'm always like scrutinizing my knitting. But yeah, it's a little bit annoying for me, but I don't think anybody else would notice. So yeah, I just find that my gauge is often different. Anyway, so I've gone up a needle size, so I'm knitting this on 4s and 3.5s instead of 3.75s and 3.25s. And yeah, my gauge is pretty much spot on. I've got 6 inches of positive ease in this, and yeah, it's just going to be a really lovely, like light, almost like long sleeve tee type garment, and I think that's going to be really fun. But yeah, so I'm plodding along on that. I should hopefully have it done fairly soon, but like I say, not putting any pressure on myself. I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stripes to do, and it's only sleeves now, so it's very small circumference, and I'm obviously decreasing as well. So what's that? 7 times 6 is 42. Some very slow maths there. So yeah, like 42 rounds plus ribbing on each side. So what, 84 plus ribbing. So yeah, really not that much to do on that. So just finding the time. But like I said before, my test knit is going to be taking priority until that is finished. And then after that, I'm going to be prioritizing my husband's hoodie. And then I will also be using the time when he is not in the house to be finishing up my 4th whip, which did not appear last week because it hadn't had any progress on it, and is back again this week with a little bit of progress. And it is my husband's Christmas present, and it has now got what, like a good inch on the sleeve. So this is the Gently Chaotic Knits. Well, sorry, it's the Dad Sweater by Gently Chaotic Knits. And it looks like this. So yeah, the sleeve, I think before I had just started the sleeve cap and I'd maybe done like that much, so you couldn't really even see it, because you know when you've picked up the stitches they kind of like tuck under a little bit until you've blocked it. So yeah, now I have got the full sleeve cap, so all of the short rows are done in that. And then I've got, what is that, like 1.5 inches? Maybe 2 inches. No, like 1.5 inches there of sleeve done, which also means I have done my first sleeve decrease. I am changing up my decreases for the sleeves on this because the sleeves are quite kind of, they have like a slow rate of decrease and then a very rapid decrease, but I realised my husband probably wouldn't like that, so I am just doing quite a sort of steady decrease down the sleeves to make it more tapered, which also sort of eradicates a lot of fabric that'll be underneath here. And so yeah, I've changed up the sleeve decreases. I am still hoping to have this done and be able to knit it, like he knows that I am knitting it. Well, he knows that I am knitting him a jumper for Christmas, but he does not know what jumper. So I'm hoping to be able to keep it that way and not have to knit it whilst he's sat next to me on the sofa in the evenings, and hopefully get this done like in the time when he's not in the house. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to finish this without his knowledge. And yeah, so I'm getting there. Like now that I've actually gotten out the short rows and I'm into just like knitting in the round on the sleeve, I think it'll go really, really quickly. And then it's just the second sleeve, the collar, and the rest of the body. So I'm going to be cutting it fine, I think, but hopefully can get it done in time. So yeah, I'm using 2 woolly knit cones to knit this. I'm using chestnut and cream, and holding them together to create this lovely marl. And yeah, I'm knitting the 3rd size of the broad shoulder sizing for this, which is so there's 2. When you download the pattern, you get 2 different PDFs. You get one for the broad shoulder, which is men's sizing, and you get one for standard shoulder, which is like more sort of conventional women's sizing. So you can pick and choose which one you want to do. And I think they've both got the same bust circumference, or chest circumference, I suppose, because you wouldn't really call it a bust on a man. Yeah, so they've both got the same kind of like chest circumferences, but different shoulders. So there's different increase rates for the shoulders, because for the chest from the shoulders, because it is a set-in sleeve, which is really nice. I knit a set-in sleeve for my Colour Tips tee, and this pattern is like also by Emily Curtis of Gently Chaotic Knits, who also did the Colour Tip tee, and they're relatively similar. Obviously this is like a DK to worsted gauge, and then that one was fingering weight gauge. But yeah, I really like Emily's patterns. I find them really easy to follow, and I just cannot focus today, can I? Oh dear. Yeah, I find them really easy to follow, and they are like quite easy to kind of mix and match your sizes and everything to get your perfect fit and all of that kind of thing. I really like the fact that this is one pattern that can be knit for both men and women. So I do intend to knit myself a version of this as well with a standard shoulder, because I have narrow shoulders and my husband obviously doesn't. But yeah, so that is how far I've got on that so far, and we'll hopefully be able to get a little bit more done in the coming weeks. It's been really slow progress recently because my husband had some time off because my mother-in-law came to stay, and then it was half term, so he had some time off to come and spend with like me and my daughter. So there's not been a huge amount of like chance to knit on this, but I will be doing it. It will be finished. And that is it for the knitting. I feel like I've flown through it, but I'm going to come to edit this and it's going to be like over an hour again. But anyway, I've got one acquisition, which I have spoken about before, I think. And I have also got a swatch. So I'll do my acquisition first and then I'll do my swatch. So the collaboration between a lot of dyers for the Saturday nights at the movies came round again. Last time I got a sock set from the Lonely Knitter and I knit a Totally Tank by Jessie May. I'll pop a picture here. And I thought, well, I saw that it was coming around again, but it was like a Halloween theme. And Laura from the Lonely Knitter, I would really love to like have a full-on conversation with her. And I think we would get on really well because our taste in film seems to be, just from this like dye collaboration where they pick a film, seems to be quite similar. And also like all of her like collections are from things that I love to watch as well. So I feel like we would be really great friends. But yeah, so she chose, from the Halloween collection, she chose to do The Shining, which is my favourite Halloween film. And so this is the yarn. So I bought the sock set again, and I put a little poll out on my Instagram a little while ago when this arrived to see, like, because I was umming and ahhing over whether or not I actually wanted to knit socks or if I want to knit myself another Totally Tank. And unanimously it came back as knit another Totally Tank. So that is what I'm going to do. And I will have a second Totally Tank top in these colours. So if I don't quite have enough to do the like the armbands, no, to do the armhole ribbing, the neckline and the bottom ribbing in this mini, then I think I will just do the bottom ribbing in the same main colour. Because this is, I thought that this was going to be a like charcoal kind of colour, but it's actually a brown, which makes way more sense for the Overlook Hotel, which is what this is based on. I have not done a good job of explaining this, but yeah, so it's like this beautiful reds and oranges and browns, and I'm really, really interested to see how this is going to knit up. My previous one was knit in, it was the Princess Diaries one. I believe it was called You Saw Me When I Was Invisible, and I've actually got that down here somewhere. And it is like this. And that came out in like these kind of, it was like micro stripes really, but not, because it was on a much bigger circumference. So yeah, really, really clever dye works from Laura, and I'm really excited to see what it knits up as. So this is what I have left from knitting my last Totally Tank, and I think I weighed this and there's about 50 grams left in here. So I will be able to get a pair of shorty socks out of this, or maybe even like a striped pair of standard length socks. So I will still be able to get socks out of this, I believe, but I will also be able to get a tank top, which is really nice. And I mean, it makes it even more economical really, doesn't it? But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing with that. And that is my one and only acquisition for this week. I have bought some other things because obviously it was my birthday. I bought myself some gifts. Well, one gift. And yeah, but that hasn't arrived yet, so I'll show that next time. So yeah, that was acquisitions, and all I have left is my swatch, which I also did a poll on my Instagram for, because I'm well aware of the fact that I've got quite a few whips at the moment, and obviously they need to be knitted because first of all, I'm running out of cables to knit things with, and also I don't like having that many things like languishing on my needles. I don't like to have long-standing whips. So, but I did also plan on like casting something on my birthday, because this year my husband bought me some really lovely yarn for my birthday, and I really wanted to kind of like cast on my birthday yarn on my birthday. But I did also realise that I hadn't swatched. So I recklessly swatched. I was going to recklessly cast on, realised I hadn't swatched, and so then just decided to knit my swatch instead, which I think is a nice middle ground. It's like, I'm intending to knit this, but I'm also actively working on my whips as well. So I'm doing a bit of middle ground. But anyway, this is my swatch, and it is, how am I going to do this while it's being really, there we go. So this is my swatch and it is gorgeous. Let's get this out of the way. There we go. It is this beautiful, like, tonal red, and it is the Mayu by Amano Yarns, and it is 60% royal alpaca, 20% cashmere and 20% silk. And my husband got this for me at the Knitting and Stitching show. So this is what it looks like when it's caked up. And this is going to be a wood anemone sweater. Wood anemone pullover? Yeah, wood anemone pullover by Sari Nordlund. And I have never knit a Sari Nordlund pattern before, but I am really excited to, because I thought that this colour is obviously perfect for the festive season. And my daughter has got a like Christmas play that she's, Christmas play or Christmas show, I'm not quite sure yet what it is, but yeah, that's coming up in early December, and I thought, oh, this would be really lovely to be able to wear that too. And yeah, I don't really have like a fancy festive jumper, so this is going to be like my fancy festive jumper that could also be worn at any point in the year, but it just happens to be red. So that is my plan. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this cast on very, very soon. This is like the softest yarn I think I have ever felt. And I know, like, obviously, like, softness, everybody wants something that's going to be soft and luxurious, but also something that's going to hold up well. So I'll caveat that with the fact that I have no idea how well this is going to hold up. Notoriously, alpaca does pill quite badly, and I believe that cashmere does as well. So there's that, but to be perfectly honest, I don't mind giving it a shave. I've gone off on a tangent again. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be like the most luxurious thing. It's going to be like pure comfort and luxury, but also looking really stylish at the same time, which I don't often do. I mean, this outfit and hair combo that I've got going on today is very like, oh, I just stepped out of the 90s. And I feel like I can actually say that because I was born in the 90s. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting this cast on fairly soon. But like I say, I've made a deal with myself that I need to finish my test knit and at least get the body cast off on my husband's hoodie before I can cast this on. My dog is snoring, I do apologise. Okay, I think he stopped. So yeah, I need to at least get the get those done, and then I can cast this on. So hopefully that will be happening in the not so distant future, and I will be able to show it to you next time. So I believe that is everything for this week, and yeah, I don't really have much else to kind of chat about. To be honest, I'm not really sure if anybody actually gets to this point in the video, but if you have, well done. Let me know if you have in the comments. I would love to know, and I would love to like have a chat about some knitting down there. Yeah, I'd love to know what you're knitting now, what you're casting on in the not so distant future, if you've got any gift knitting plans, because I know that we're getting into that season now, and I'm very, very excited. I'm so excited for all the Christmas things to come up and all of the festive things. And yeah, I would just love to know. But yeah, I think that's going to be all from me. And as always, I hope you all have a lovely couple of weeks. And yeah, I always stumble when it comes to like casting off these videos. So yeah, I hope you all have a lovely couple of weeks. I hope you get to do lots of knitting, and I will see you again for another podcast in 2 weeks. So yeah, happy knitting.